Speaking of week 0, Jason, season is here. We got to make some college football playoff picks. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just go back and forth, start with 4 seed down to 1 and your national champion. So 4 seed for you, Jason, in your college football playoff is?
Oh, man. LSU.
Really? Okay.
I'm going off the deep end on this one.
I don't think that's off the deep end.
It was between them and Alabama, and I am concerned about the quarterback situation at Bama. I just am. And this just feels like the kind of year LSU could leapfrog them. And so I actually, even though it's not obviously what I want to see, consider my rooting interests, LSU, I'm putting them in the 4 spot.
Okay, I will tell you LSU is not in my 4, and it's not.
I didn't think they would be.
Yeah, not because I don't love Brian Kelly. I do. I just think the schedule with Florida State to open, you have to go to Bama this year, and it's kind of crazy. 3 of your first 5, I think it's, let me do the quick math here. 4 of your first 6 are away from Baton Rouge. So 3 true road games, and then also Florida State on a neutral field. So I just think the start is tough. I worry about the depth. Those frontline guys are good, but I worry about the depth. So with that said, my number 4 team, a little bit of a curveball, making their college football playoff debut, the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Wow.
I really like Penn State. Schedule breaks very nicely for them. They play, first of all, they don't play Wisconsin, which might be the best team out of the West. They're out of conference. They should go 3-0. There's the marquee game is West Virginia at home. West Virginia's terrible. They do get Michigan at home. Ohio State, how about this, Jason? The 2 weeks preceding Ohio State, they have a bye, and then they play UMass at home. So it's kind of what we were talking about with the Detroit Lions earlier. If they can't break through this year, and by the way, we're going to a 12-team playoff next year, so they're going to get in at some point. But I just think everything breaks very nicely for them to break through this year. As I said, they basically get 3 weeks to prepare for Ohio State, Michigan at home, no Wisconsin, no meaningful out-of-conference games. I think they drop either Ohio State or Michigan, but not both. I think they go 11-1. I think they go to the college football playoff, Jason.
James Franklin getting to the playoff, I'm going to need to see that one. There's something missing there. Like, I think he's a great coach, and then at the same time on game days, there's some things that just baffle me. And it's always kind of been this way. I think there's a ceiling for Penn State. I could easily see him in a New Year's Six game, but I do not see him in the playoff. But you didn't have LSU, so, I mean, we couldn't agree if we didn't have the exact same top 4.
At least we don't have the same picks like we did in the NFC.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
Quickly, one thing I should reference, I do like the personnel as well. Nicholas Singleton, a 1,000-yard rusher as a freshman. Some nice wide receivers out of the transfer portal. Their starting quarterback was a 5-star, one of the highest-rated recruits they've had in recent years. He just didn't play last year because you had a 6th-year senior in Sean Clifford as your quarterback. Drew Allaire is his name. Anyway, Penn State is my number 4 team. Who do you have at number 3?
I got USC at number 3.
Okay. No wonder you were so defensive of their defense a minute ago.
I wasn't defensive. I'm just saying I look at the schedule and I do think it's manageable. I think it's tough down the stretch, but I don't feel particularly good about anybody else I could put in the same place. I've already given you an SEC teams. I'm not giving you 3 of them. I'm a little wary about one of the more obvious picks you could make out of the Big Ten, and I feel much better about the other one. So that kind of dictates, and that puts me into a position where I just look at SC with Caleb Williams and think if the challenge is outscore, I've seen quarterbacks that aren't as talented as him for Lincoln Riley do that, and I could see him doing it also.
All right, I will get to number 3. So as far as USC is concerned, the defense does worry me, but I just think the schedule is tough, and I'll be blunt to do a little spoiler. I don't have a single Pac-12 team in only because I don't think there's much of a gap. I think there's just a lot of really good teams. We saw Utah beat USC twice last year. We saw Oregon win some big games, lose some big games. Washington's good. Utah's good. So I like the Pac-12. I just don't think there's enough of a gap. I think everybody takes losses along the way. My number 3 team, I was torn in the ACC because I do think Clemson is going to be better than they've been, but I am buying that Florida State hype. I really am. I'll tell you, for people who don't know, they're number 8 in the preseason poll. And I'll just be blunt, Jason. I mean, their whole season really comes down to 2 games, and they're both in September. So I'm either going to be – sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I mean, I was just agreeing with you. I mean, I went with LSU at 4 under the assumption that one of their key wins is going to be Florida State. Whoever wins that game is going to be in one position. Whoever loses that game is going to be in trouble early.
Exactly. And I'll say this. This is the new era of college football, man, that we're not going to have these week 1 games that feel like life or death. This year it will be, though. LSU and Florida State both in the top 10. Florida State also plays at Clemson later in the month. I think Clemson's going to be better, but my concern is the schedule isn't hard, but it's not easy. Open at Duke. Duke won 9 games last year. They play at Miami. Miami's always got dudes. It's just whether it comes together under Mario Cristobal. At NC State, that's kind of always a weird game for Clemson. Then they have Notre Dame at home. They have Florida State at home. They have North Carolina at home as well. And, oh, by the way, South Carolina who beat them. So right now we have 2 teams, Jason. I have Penn State and Florida State. You have LSU and USC. All right, Jason, let's keep it going. We've given 2 of our college football playoff teams. I have Penn State and Florida State. You have LSU and USC. Let's get to your top 2. Give me your national runner-up this year, Jason Martin.
I wanted to flip these, but I just can't do it. I got Michigan at 2. Easy, obviously, to start, and they'll have some challenges, but I do really like them, and I have sensed what they've been building over the last few years. They are loaded. They should be good this year. I think they're going to be very good this year, so give me Michigan.
Before I get to Michigan, so that means you are not buying Ohio State this year, at least not as a playoff team.
No, I want to see what they do at the quarterback spot this year. And I saw enough of Ryan Day's kind of like happy-go-lucky attitude a few times last year where he got bailed out. I don't know that he has the bailout team this year. I don't know if he has the bailout quarterback either. So I believe in Michigan, not Ohio State this year.
And I'll take it a step further. They don't have the bailout schedule either. At Notre Dame, at Michigan, even at Wisconsin. That's already been announced as a night game Halloween weekend. So good luck with that. And then, of course, Penn State at home. As I mentioned, Penn State's essentially going to have a back-to-back bye going into that one. My number 2 team, Jason, this is going to surprise you. And I don't know that I feel good about it, but I'm doing it. I'm picking Alabama to win the SEC. And it is partly like I think the quarterback stuff worries me. Last night we read the quotes from Nick Saban where he said, "Will one of you please take this job? Stop waiting for me to hand it to you." They've recommitted to the run. They've recommitted to defense. I'll just say quickly with Georgia, like it's just so hard to ask that team to go back to back to back. So I have Alabama as the SEC champ, my national runner-up. I think I know who you're picking to win it all, Jason.
Yeah, Georgia. I mean, I'm gonna at my own peril would I pick against them at this point. I thought about it, but I just feel like I would be doing that because of a hunch. Georgia just keeps on reloading. And I've seen this now for enough time over the last 2 or 3 years. Somebody's going to have to knock them off for me to feel good about picking against them at this stage. Maybe Tennessee does get them this year. Maybe you're right. Maybe Bama does. Or maybe my pick of LSU in the 4 spot gets them in the SEC title game. Maybe they do get got along the way. But I just can't pick against them right now because they've been such a machine. So give me Georgia.
2 quick things. One, it's amazing how quickly the narrative has changed on them. Like a year and a half ago, after even the SEC championship game a couple years ago, it was like, right. They can't win the big one. Kirby again. Now it's just like you can't bet against them. And I will tell you, Jason, my only reason for not picking them is a hunch. I think it's really hard to do. I don't think. I know.
So you don't even have them in the playoff.
I will have them losing a game in the regular season, haven't figured out which one, and then losing to Alabama in the SEC championship game, and that leaves my national champion, the Michigan Wolverines. I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe it. By the way, Vanderbilt just intercepted a ball. It looks like they are going to hold on to beat Hawaii. So they're 1-0 and still very much in the playoff picture, Jason. We'll discuss them at a later point. But with Michigan, I'll say this. First of all, the suspension I don't think it matters to me. I talked about it last night when we were out filling in for Jason and Mike. This is a program that has had Jim Harbaugh literally interview for jobs 2 off seasons in a row in the NFL, or at least he did 2 years ago on National Signing Day. It's a veteran group. They've been building towards this year. I know I don't know. I think everything's built towards this year. I just find it so hard to believe that Georgia can do it 3 years in a row, not because they're not talented, not because I'm rooting against them, not because I don't like Kirby Smart, but there's a reason that it has never been done 3 straight years. Michigan is my national champion, Jace.
That was the only team that I considered, but then there is still that part of me that's like, I've seen the Big Ten against the SEC in the past.
Yep.
And it just backed me right back off of it. And it was just like, nope, I'm not getting caught flat-footed on this one. Like, you're not getting a step on me. At the very least, you're not getting behind me. Like, I'm going down the field. I'm at least going to play prevent defense at worst. And you'll get the first down, but you're not getting into the end zone on this pick. That if I turn out to be wrong, fine. But I'll go down with the ship of the SEC over the Big Ten.
It's never been the wrong decision to pick the SEC over the Big Ten. Really quick, do you have a Heisman Trophy winner?
See, that one's hard. I think we talked about this last night. We talked about how difficult it is to repeat as Heisman because you have set a standard where even if he's awesome every week, there's going to be some people that aren't impressed because they now hold him to a higher standard where they're just like, well, we've seen you do this before. But you know what? I'm going to pick Caleb Williams again because I think there's something very, very special about him. I've got them in the playoff. If they're in the playoff, that means Caleb Williams is throwing for an insane number of touchdowns and protecting the football and staying healthy. So I think Caleb is going to be, one of those very, very few players we've ever seen that does this.
It's a great point. If they have a playoff type year, it's going to be because of him, even if the defense is improved. Listen, I put it on the record earlier this week. I put it on the record before today. This isn't a reaction or overreaction to today. I picked Sam Hartman because I think you look at that schedule, they're going to have marquee games. Most of them are at home. Statistically, he is going to be very good. Now, are they going to win those games that matter? USC at home, Ohio State at home, Clemson on the road. They're probably not going undefeated. We'll see if they can win even 2 out of 3. But if they are in position, the narrative is going to be what we've talked about throughout tonight's show, which is, wow, they were good without the quarterback, but now they got the quarterback. I think it's easy. That's going to be an easy narrative to get behind. Sam Hartman was my pick before today, let the record show, and it was now.